What's up everybody, Ninth Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video with single spotlight. Today we're talking about Incineroar. Yes, you heard me right. Incineroar in 2020. This Pokemon is back, baby, and is coming back real strong. However, it did get slightly nerfed, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Actually, you know what? We'll just talk about it right now. So, the couple of things that got nerfed is Intimidate got slightly nerfed, just with more competitive / defiant Pokemon coming into the meta. Things like the Passimian, the Braviary, the Milotic. Things like this are making this Pokemon less oppressive. This Pokemon used to be the most oppressive Pokemon in 2019. This Pokemon was insane. Ultra Series, it was the most used Pokemon at 85% usage stats on Pikalytics across the board. This is insane. This makes this Pokemon absolutely a monster. It was an absurd Pokemon. It has access to Fake Out, pivoting with U-turn. Now it has Parting Shot, which is crazy. You have Intimidate on this Pokemon. It's super bulky. Across the board, this Pokemon is just amazing. It's a better form of Arcanine. Arguably, Arcanine still has its usages. However, Incineroar really does hold a lot of weight. This Pokemon pulls a lot of weight on your team. It's super powerful. However, there are some checks now. Things like the Milotic, the Passimian, even Durant can check it. Not destroy it. Like things like Dracovish even deal a lot of damage to this Pokemon. This Pokemon is definitely lower on the totem pole than it used to be. However, that doesn't mean it's going to be low on the totem pole. This Pokemon will still be one of the most used Pokemon in this generation once we can use it. So, if you didn't know, Pokemon just released a tweet or a series of tweets changing the competitive rules of the game. So once March 1st starts, they're changing to Ranked Battle Season 3, Ranked Battle Series 3, and they're giving us the ability to use all of these Pokemon introduced with Pokemon Home. Things like the Kanto starters, the Alola starters like Incineroar. We have a bunch of Alolan forms, all the regional forms, even Galarian Slowpoke we can use. Things like Alolan Raichu we can use, Alolan Ninetales we can use. All of these Pokemon we can use. And this is one of them that they gave us. Now, this Pokemon used to be the most used Pokemon in Ultra Series and very highly used in 2017-2018, leading up to the Ultra Series. And this Pokemon is very powerful. It took a huge amount of usage across the board in 2019, 2018, 2017. Now I feel like I'm repeating myself. We'll go ahead and jump into this Pokemon now. So, Fire Dark, giving us a great typing. This is really strong. Immunity to Psychic, which is fine. You know, it's not crazy, but it's fine. And then resistances to Fire, Grass, Ice, Ghost, Dark, Steel. This is huge. We have great resistances. We can switch this Pokemon in on a lot of situations, not take very much damage since we're very naturally bulky, as well as with our investments we're bulky. And then set off Intimidate, and then be able to pivot with U-turn. This Pokemon really can just come in, hit Intimidate. You knock out the Defiant users or the competitive users on your opponent's team, because that will be more prevalent. Things like Milotic, Passimian will be more prevalent in a few weeks when this Pokemon comes out. However, for now, this is all speculation. This definitely will change, like the spread right there will definitely change as we go on in the meta. Things will knock us out that we weren't expecting. Things will not kill us, and we can change up the EV spread and everything. However, for right now, this is just a basic intro to this Pokemon. Onto our weaknesses, we have Water, Fighting, Ground, Rock. All of those are pretty bad, especially since a lot of competitive / defiant users are those typings. You know, the Braviary and Passimian both have fighting moves. Water on the Milotic, things like that are going to deal huge damage to our Incineroar, and there's nothing we can really do about that. That is just a thing. It just happens. Anyway, into our stats. So we have HP 95, defenses, both defense and special defense at 90. This is really solid. This Pokemon can live a lot of attacks. After Intimidate, it makes your defense even better. It has access to Will-O-Wisp and Snarl. You can really use this Pokemon a lot like the Arcanine that we're currently seeing play with Snarl, Flamethrower, Will-O-Wisp, Protect. You can definitely use this Pokemon very similarly to that. However, this Pokemon really shines in its physical attack and its physical move pool. So into our attack stat, we have 115, which is absolutely insane. On such a bulky Pokemon, to have this much attack as well is crazy. Luckily for us, our speed is down to 60, which is like, I mean, it's bad for this Pokemon, but it's good for the balance of this Pokemon. I mean, its stats are absurd across the board, and for its speed to be the low one, you know, that's pretty good. A lot of things can outspeed it. Even Milotic outspeeds it. You know, the Passimian, the Braviary, Durant, all these Pokemon that check this Pokemon do outspeed it, which is really good. So yeah, that's really good. Also, 80 special attack for Snarl is pretty solid, and yeah. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the build. We're at like 5 minutes, so it makes sense to jump into the build. Follow along in the timestamps down below if you want to just like skip through. You know, by all means do that. I should have said that at the very beginning, but oh well. If you're not new to the channel, then you know that by now. If you are new to the channel, now you've learned. Anyway, Incineroar build. So today we're talking about Incineroar, crazy powerful Pokemon. Ability Intimidate. You're like... Intimidate's nothing new. It's really, really powerful. It's great against a lot of Pokemon, especially in this meta with it being very, very physical-oriented format. Things like the Gyarados, the Braviary, all the Rhyperior. There's just so many. Most of the biggest threats that are like attacking threats are physical. Not all. You know, we still have things like Duraludon, Togekiss. Like a bunch of Pokemon aren't, but physical is big. So having Intimidate is really good. However, it also gives you checks along the lines of the Passimian and the Milotic. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, but yeah, just know that there are checks. For our item, we're using a Guave Berry. You can use any of the pinch berries, a Guave, Iapapa, or Figgy. We're using a Guave Berry. It doesn't really matter at all. And then we also have Assault Vest as another item that you can use. This saw a little bit of play, but it was definitely Pinch Berry was the most used back in 2019. Now Pinchberry was nerfed a little bit, you know. Now it does it heals you a third of your life, of your health, instead of half. So it is nerfed a little bit. However, it's not insanely relevant. I still think Pinchberry is probably optimal. You can definitely use the Assault Vest, however, with such a high special defense base. This just gives you an insane special defense, which is really good. Things like Milotic don't even harm you then. Well, they do. They do a lot of damage still. Things like Gastrodon don't like scare you nearly as much, which is really, really good. So yeah, for item, that is good. Onto our move pool. So this Pokemon has a really diverse, really good move pool. For our actual set, we're using Flare Blitz, Fake Out, U-Turn, and Darkest Lariat. Flare Blitz just for very strong stab, physical attack. It's really, really solid. If we could get Pyro Ball, we would use it, but we can't. So Flare Blitz is the way. And then we also have Darkest Lariat for another stab move. It's dark. This is really good for things like Stamina Mudsdale, things that boost, and Curse Lax, things that boost a lot of their defense. This just goes right through it, which is really good. Things like Max Quake, or Max Steel Spike, I mean, that boost your defense. This, like, Darkest Lariat just doesn't care. It just goes right through. It just deals damage. It has piercing into that. Into the defense, which is really good. And then we also have Fake Out, which is really good. Another thing that got kind of nerfed, like not directly nerfed, but indirectly nerfed, is Fake Out. Things like Dynamax turn 1, you know, Passimian Dynamax turn 1, Braviary, all these Pokemon, you can't fake them out. You just can't. And you don't want to waste your first turn faking out into something that is just going to Dynamax. Things that are really good Fake Out targets turn 1, things like the Grimmsnarl, the Whimsicott, Prankster Pokemon, things that aren't going to Dynamax and you know they aren't going to Dynamax. That's what you Fake Out. Anyway, and then we also have U-Turn as a really good pivoting move. You Intimidate, and then you can U-Turn, pivot out, and then also Intimidate again later in the game. Really good. Another honorable mention is Parting Shot, being able to pivot out as well, just lowering the attack stat of the opponent, of the target, and then switching out. It's really, really good. Parting Shot is really good. I like it a lot. I really wish it had priority. That move would be insane if it had priority, but it doesn't, so it's okay. Anyway, on to the rest of our flex moves. So we also have Snarl. This kind of gives Snarl and Will-O-Wisp. So this kind of gives us that Arcanine feel of the current most used special Arcanine that's using Snarl, Flamethrower, Will-O-Wisp Protect. That's usually what you'll see, or Snarl Heat Wave, Will-O-Wisp Protect. But we have Snarl and Will-O-Wisp, so if you want to use this Pokemon just to use essentially the same, or to cover the same role that your Arcanine is currently using on your team, this Pokemon will be able to do that with Snarl, Will-O-Wisp. And then we also have Roar, which is a really good move, especially since things, you know, things that get huge, things like Stamina, or, Stamina Mudsdale, as well as Own Tempo, swaggering your own Mudsdale, getting huge, Belly Drum or Curse Lax, Snorlax, Belly Drum or Curse Snorlax, A lot of big threats in the meta that get huge. Things that are competitive Pokemon, you can even roar those, which is good. However, our low speed makes us not really outspeed all those Pokemon. You can definitely go into speed with your build. However, I think this is a very like rough build right now, just because we don't know how the meta will shape with Incineroar and with the other Pokemon that Pokemon Home introduced. But for now, I like this build a lot. It looks like it's going to work. I haven't used it at all yet. Obviously, you know, we can't use it for 2 weeks. I think Pokemon Showdown, you might be able to use them, or you might be able to use them soon. Either way, you might be able to use them. Anyway, so into our actual build itself, into our EVs. So we have max invested into HP. I don't think this will change. This will probably always be at 252 as long as this Pokemon is in the game. And then defense at 168 and 84 plus into special defense, giving us that careful nature plus special defense minus special attack. This is so that we can live Scald plus 2 Scald from Milotic for our 84 plus, and then 168 helps us live Durant attacks. We won't be able to live the Passimian attack. We can live close combat from Braviary. However, Passimian close combat is killing us every time, no matter what. There's nothing we can really do about that, unfortunately. So yeah, that's about it for our build. So we'll go ahead and talk about some synergetic Pokemon and some synergies and some scary stuff. So Braviary is a really good synergy. It gives us that ground immunity. Being able to switch out is really, really powerful. It also is a really good Pokemon against opposing Incineroars. If Incineroar is like it was in the past, then it's going to be on very, very many teams. It's going to be one of the highest used Pokemon in general. I think it'll definitely go down in usage, although I still think it'll be very prevalent in the meta. Then we also have Togekiss. It does the same thing, you know, it gives us a good check to opposing Pokemon like that. It does really good against things like Passimian. Being able to Dazzling Gleam or Max Starfall is really good. However, you have to be careful because a lot of Passimian will run Iron Head, being able to deal a lot of damage to your Togekiss. You can run Babiri Berry to lower the chance of just dying from that, and you won't die from a +1 Iron Head through Babiri Berry, so that's pretty good in general. And if you make it a bulky Togekiss. So Togekiss works really well as well. It stops that ground weakness, although it's still weak to rock, which, you know, it may happen. Then we also have Milotic. So this is also, once again, another check to the Incineroar matchup. So if you have this on your team, it's really good. It also covers all of your weaknesses: water, fighting, ground, rock. It resists water and ground, and then you know, takes neutral damage to the others. So that's really good. Milotic really taking a lot of the fall against those matchups, which is really good. And then we also have Rotom Cut, very similar. Again, once it has Levitate, so it gets through that ground weakness, and then just takes neutral damage to everything else. You know, resists water, which is really good. So it really it helps. It makes it a better matchup. So all of these Pokemon can be really synergetic and really powerful on your Incineroar team, and yeah, it makes sense. Also, Incineroar can kind of just jump into just about every team. It's kind of like Arcanine, you know, running that fire. A fire type Pokemon can like make your Fire Grass Water Core really strong, you know, Incineroar being that fire type Pokemon. It also has access to the Intimidate, the fake out U-turn pivoting. It's really good. Darkest Lariat gives you a check to things like the Stamina Mudsdale and stuff like that. So yeah, that's about it for, actually no, like Passimian, Milotic, Braviary, Durant, all are pretty strong checks. Durant being the weakest link of those because it doesn't have the competitive / defiant. However, all the other ones do, and they become huge threats to Incineroar the second Intimidate. I've seen Adrenaline Orb competitive Milotic being played recently, and I really, really like that. It just gives an instant check to any Intimidate, which is really, really powerful. So yeah, that's going to be it for this slide. We're going to go ahead and jump into speed tiers. So we are at 80. We are at speed tier 80, and this is a little bit misleading just since it looks like it's at 81. It was at, or wait. No, we put 4 speed EVs into our speed, so we are at 81. So not misleading. I'm not a goofball. I am a goofball. But anyway, so Tyranitar and Incineroar are on the same speed tier at uninvested. Incineroar has 4 EVs into it. Tyranitar having 0 in this exact manner. A lot of Tyranitars will be invested in speed, so it'll be faster higher up. But for now, Incineroar being at this 81 speed tier is similar to that Tyranitar. And then we also have things that we outspeed. It is Jellicent, Galarian Weezing, and Sylveon all at 80 if they have 0 investment into speed, which a lot won't. or a lot will have 0 investment. Galarian Weezing I've seen be fast before, but I don't think it's very good being fast. And then Jellicent, I've seen some EVs being into that as well, being able to outspeed things like the Tyranitar, the Incineroar in the upcoming meta will be good, especially since it has like Scald and stuff, you know, being able to kind of shut us down. And yeah, that's really it. Setting up Trick Room is pretty good. We're kind of fine if they set up Trick Room though, being at 81, you know, we outspeed all the fast stuff, although if it's a dedicated Trick Room team, we're going to be slower than everything still after a Trick Room. And then we also have Scrafty and Conkeldurr under us. Scrafty sometimes will be invested into speed, and Conkeldurr will be a little invested into speed, but usually, so like the Aaron Trailer team, the first place Dallas team, the Conkeldurr spread only had 44 EVs into speed, which would not make it faster than us, which is good. We don't have to worry about Conkeldurr outspeeding us. However, it still does have Mach Punch, which does probably like 20 to 30% damage, so keep that in mind when you're pivoting. You know, you don't want to bring back out the Incineroar and then die to a Conkeldurr Mach Punch. That would feel bad. Things that immediately outspeed us, there's actually not there's not very many Pokemon between that 80 and 100 speeds here. It's usually like jumps from 80 to 100, you know, pretty quick. And we have Milotic at 101. This is uninvested. This is what you'll typically see. However, if it's the Adrenaline Orb, it will double its speed. Adrenaline Orb is actually really cool, doubling its speed when it's intimidated, and then setting off its competitive as well, making the Pokemon +2 into special attack and +2 into speed, making it a crazy Pokemon. Milotic, I definitely expect to see a little bit more once Incineroar comes out, just being a really valuable asset against Incineroars. Then we also have Form Changed Rotom. This is uninvested. This is what you'll see a lot of the time, being a bulky Rotom. Either Wash, Cut, you know, Heat, any of them will be 106 at uninvested. Like a lot of them will have a little bit invested into speed, so they'll be a little bit higher, or you know, Max is invested into speed, and then they'll be way higher, probably Scarved. So yeah, I mean, Form Change Rotom will always outspeed us, you know, that's pretty much what I'm saying. And then everything that you expect to outspeed us will outspeed us, you know, things like Dragapult, Scarf users, Swift Swim Pokemon, anything known for being fairly fast, you know, Durant, Passimian, all these Pokemon will be outspeeding us, so keep that in mind. Jumping into our damage calcs, so I have, most of them are just like, do we live that? And a lot of them are, we don't live that. Feels kind of bad. So, first off, we have Defiant boosted. So we're +1, max invested attack, Passimian close combat. Even if it's Jolly nature or any other nature other than Adamant, it's still going to be OHKOing us every time, 145 to 172. Dynamaxing Incineroar is probably a no-go. You don't want to do it too frequently, just because you still have all those glaring weaknesses. You want to be able to just like pivot out with U-turn, potentially parting shot. So you're probably not going to be Dynamaxing it very frequently, so none of these are Dynamax Calcs for the Incineroar. Anyway, on to the next one. We have competitive boosted Milotic Scald. This is +2, so it's competitive boost after the Intimidate, and then also little, like very minimal investment, only 4 invested into special attack, making this Pokemon just not really invested at all, not doing a lot of damage. However, after +2 with the competitive, it is doing 83 to 98%. So because of our careful nature and our 84 invested, we do live Milotic Scald every time. It may use Hydro Pump, it may max Geyser, but if it maxes, we kind of take that as a victory. Well, not really, because it's +2, so it's still going to be dealing huge damage the entire time it's out. So be careful of Milotic. These are our 2 biggest checks in my opinion. The Passimian and Milotic, they're the 2 best checks in general, in my opinion. And then we also have Dracovish. Vicious Wren doubled, max attack, -1 from Intimidate. Still going to be killing us, 101 to 121%. Like I said, this is a very rough build, so you can definitely change the EV spread in the future as the meta progresses, as the Incineroar actually becomes legal, since it's not even legal right now. It will be in 2 weeks. So as the time progresses, we'll see how, like, we'll see the builds that come up from this. And then Defiant boosted Braviary Superpower. We have a high chance of living it. It's only a 37.5 chance to OHKO, doing 89 to 105%. We can definitely invest a little bit more in the future, you know, to try and live other things. You know, competitive boosted Milotic is a very big threat. However, we can definitely opt to go more defensive and then just like dodge that Pokemon, which we probably should anyway. So yeah, Braviary is pretty scary as well. And then Durant. So this is Intimidated, max invested. Life Orb, Hustle, max Quake from a Durant. Only does 77 to 91%. I say only does, but that's a lot. But it doesn't OHKO us. Guaranteed 2-hit KO, so that's really good. And then our Flare Blitz into that Durant Dynamaxed does 104 to 125%. So we do OHKO it, return OHKO it. So if we don't get double targeted and die, we get to kill their Durant, which is really good. So Durant's like a pseudo check. Anyway, on to our single Spotlight. So this Pokemon, this is a pretty rough thing for single Spotlight, but single Spotlight is usually pretty rough, as I play VGC more than singles, so yeah. But it's a good like jumping off point, you know. Anyway, so we have an Intimidate Figgy Berry, so similar item and ability. This could be any of the Pinch Berries, it doesn't matter. This was just the first one that came to mind when I was building this. And then for our moves, we have Flare Blitz, Darkest Lariat. Those are both the same, just the best physical attacking stab moves that we have access to. You could definitely run Knockoff over Darkest Lariat if you wanted to, but I just ran Darkest Lariat. I like Darkest Lariat a lot. And then we also have Earthquake, a good spread move. That's just what I opted to use there. You can definitely switch this out as well. And then Swords Dance we have. So since this Pokemon is very good attack and speed, we're maxed attack speed, just being able to lean into switching it in, intimidating the foe, and then setting up a Swords Dance while they're switching out or doing not much damage. And then we're Swords Dance boosted and we just do a lot of damage. This Pokemon still hits a pretty low speed tier at 123, even max invested. So that's something to keep in mind. We're Jolly Nature, so we're max speed possible. And yeah. So that's about it for that build as far as our synergetic Pokemon. We just have a few. So Mandibuzz sets up Defog. So it uses Defog, so it gets rid of the hazards that Incineroar won't like, things like the Stealth Rocks, Spikes, Toxic Spike, Sticky Web, all these moves you can just defog away, which is really good. It also provides us a ground immunity, which is really good. And then Clefable gives us that fighting resistance, which is really good. And then the Seismitoad gives us that water resistance, water immunity with Water Absorb. So that's also very, very good. This is just like a very rough couple of Pokemon that you can use with this Pokemon. So yeah. That's it for the single Spotlight. That's it for the Incineroar build in general. I like Incineroar a lot. If you like Incineroar, go ahead and like and subscribe. It means a lot to me, even if you don't like Incineroar. Actually, I shouldn't say if you like Incineroar, because I don't like Incineroar. Nobody should like Incineroar. It's really, really powerful. However, I do think it get a lot worse with this gen, having way more competitive users. Dynamax as an option for fake out immunity is really, really good. I think across the board, this Pokemon got worse. Still going to be really, really good. However, a little bit worse, so keep that in mind. I don't think the Pokemon will pose this unbelievable threat anymore. It's still insane though. It's still insane. So yeah, that's my take on Incineroar, and we're at like 23 minutes, so I'm gonna leave now. But giveaway coming up, so like and subscribe, and then also thank you so much for watching, and it means a lot to me. And goodbye.